my name is Emma and today I have another book haul for you. Now it feels like it was just like a week ago that I was posting a book haul on this channel, but my birthday is in March, so naturally I've amassed quite a few books for that, and I thought I'd do a birthday specific book haul rather than them getting lost in kind of March, April that I'll post much later in the year. So these are all the books I ended up getting for my birthday, either ones that I bought myself or family or friends have bought for me. The first one that I want to mention is the one that I don't physically have in front of me right now. I've put it down somewhere in my house and I can't quite work out where it's gone. I think it's in another pile of books somewhere. But my brother bought me Never Enough, The Neuroscience and Experience of Addiction by Judith Grisel. I'll kind of post it over here somewhere. Most of these books are non-fiction. Clearly my family know that I'm going through a bit of a non-fiction kick right now, and this is a, as the name suggests, book that is looking at the science behind addiction. And it's really interesting because Judith, the author, actually suffered from addiction. I think she was addicted to heroin, and so it's looking at it from both sides of that kind of perspective. So I'm really keen to get to that one soon. Very exciting, however a bit dense and sciencey, might have to happen later on in the year. My sister bought me two books this year. So the first one that she bought me is Cannibalism by Schutt, A Perfectly Natural History. As the name suggests, this is a book looking at cannibalism both in the human and natural world and various different forms that it takes and various different kind of reasons for it. Everything from kind of frogs eating frogs to ancient fossil records to all the different reasons why it might occur. Then she also bought me The Man Who Loved Books Too Much by Allison Hoover Bartlett. This is the story of a thief who stole millions of dollars worth of first editions and various rare books, and the detective who was assigned to his case who tried to track him down over a series of years. It's got a very catch me if you can kind of vibe. If any of you have seen that wonderful movie with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio in it, it's very young Leo, it's a brilliant movie. But this kind of gives me those vibes and it looks really interesting, and it'll be fun to read a true crime that isn't just about gruesome and grisly murder, because that seems to be the standard format for true crime. There was a readathon that had a prompt in it for read a true crime book not about a violent murder, and that would have been perfect for it, and I have no idea which readathon it was. But yeah, interesting. So the last book that was bought for me specifically is Why Dinosaurs Matter by Kenneth Lacovara. This was actually a TED talk that has been turned into a book, and this was bought for me by one of my mates' mums. So my friend Harry, his mum works at the Natural History Museum, and this is where she bought this for me, which was unbelievably sweet of her. Really lovely woman, and big shout out to Harry, who watches my channel quite often. Hi Harry! So as we all know on this channel, I'm obsessed with dinosaurs. This is one of the many dinosaur books that is on my list of ones that I would like to read, and this is now the third physical dinosaur book that I have on my shelves that I haven't got to yet. So I am keen for this. I need to do like a dino week. Dinosaur themed readathon? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And then for my birthday itself, my partner and I, Andy, went over to London, and one of the things that we did was we went to the Waterstones on Gower Street. I flippin' love Gower Street Waterstones. It's one of my all-time favourite Waterstones. It's very much an academic one because it's got so many universities surrounding it, and it's just huge and expansive, and they have books on frickin' everything. Like, it's amazing. I bought 5 books there, 2 of which I have already read, and then 3 are brand new ones. So the ones that I have already read is I bought Jack London's Call of the Wild. This is the Penguin English Library edition, the paperback ones. If you've been on this channel for a while, you will know that I'm kind of sort of casually collecting them. I have read this. I read this as a child. It was one of my all-time favourite books as a child. I actually have my 2 copies. I have my 2 Jack London books as a kid, which are here. It's White Fang and Call of the Wild, but I just couldn't resist this cover with the wolves and the dogs on the front, so I figured I'd pick this one up so I can add it to my collection. Then I also picked up a copy of Records of a Spaceborn Few by Becky with these gorgeous sprayed edges. This is book number 3 in her Wayfarer series. I have read the entire series so far. Interestingly, I own book 1, which Harry has still. Harry, give me my book back. And now I own book 3, but book 2 was my favourite, and that's the one that I don't own, so I don't quite know how that's happened, and I really need to address that soon. Stickers on a gorgeous cover. Fix that. Wow. True. Ta-da! Much prettier. Also, it's hard to tell in this light, but the stars are actually like silver foiled, which is super gorgeous. So really pleased to finally have a copy of this. Okay, and the final books that I have is Ethics in the Real World by Peter Singer. This is 82 brief essays on things that matter. Peter Singer, for those of you who don't know, is a philosopher who specialises in ethics and political philosophy and things like that. He is most are a particular brand of utilitarianism, which is to do with the ends justifying the means and like maximum utility for all. He has pioneered various things about like giving what you can, and the idea that you should give away a certain amount of your salary to charity, and all sorts of things like that. He is very, very well known in the ethical world, but also has kind of is one of the few philosophers who I think has really branched out into sort of the real world in general. He has written columns and articles for various different newspapers and all those sorts of publications over the years, and this is a collection of his essays in these different forms that he thinks are relevant today. So he's gone back through his back catalogue of work and collected ones that he thinks are the most pressing and the most interesting. I have actually already started this. I'm about 30 pages in. It's broken into a load of different sections. It's like vegans, animals, bioethics, politics, happiness. He's a very big supporter of both vegetarianism and veganism, and has done a lot of work about the ethical ramifications of eating animals, and is just generally a very, very interesting guy. I studied him a lot at university, but it's been a while since I did that, and I thought it'd be interesting to dip my toe back into the water of philosophy and just kind of see what it's like to read it now that I've been out of studying it for a while. Because me and Andy were talking about this. This is going to be like a little mini segue. I don't know if it will make it into the final cut, but like when you study a subject at university, especially if it's one that you don't go on to use in your day-to-day job, whether it be like an arty one or something like that, you quite often have this discord when you leave, because you loved the subject because that's why you took it for 3 years, and in some cases more if you've gone on to master's level, clearly, but you know quite a lot about it and you want to keep up to date, but you don't necessarily want to be reading these like huge academic texts when you leave, because they're really hard work, and without somebody to bounce the ideas off of or like essays to write, it can feel very pointless. But then you can't just like buy a casual pop science or pop philosophy or pop economics or pop whatever your subject was anywhere near as easily, because you already know like 3/4 of the book. So it feels really, you just feel at a bit of a loss as to exactly where you should go, and like there almost needs to be like a subcategory in like somewhere in the sliding scale between these 2 points of like pop whatever it is for people who have got absolutely no background, or your super academic text. And I'm kind of hoping that this will fulfill that for me. I'm not too sure. We'll find out. On a similar note to that, actually, though I guess my segue is now more relevant, which is really helpful, I picked up Down Girl by Kate Main. It's the logic of misogyny, and this is a similar one, kind of a similar issue for me. Basically, I spent a lot of time reading about feminism at university and did a fair number of essays and that kind of thing into it, which means that when I now look in the gender studies section of a bookstore, I have read a decent number of them, all kind of. There's a lot of rehashing of the same ideas, because of course there is, because that's what kind of happens. And I was looking at, it's either Laura or Lauren Bates, who is the proponent of the everyday sexism movement, and she has a book now called Misogynation, and I had a look at those, and I was actually intending to buy one of those because she's an author that I want to read this year. But I was looking through them and I was like, I've kind of read all of this before. Like, I know these studies, I've read this stuff, like I get the statistics. So I was kind of looking for something a little bit of a step up, not up in the sense of like a judgment laden one, but just a little bit more kind of detail, a little bit less anecdotal, and I'm kind of hoping this one will be it. The reason I say this is because it has like an unbelievable number of references in it, which is normally a good sign, and there's a lot of studies in it that it's kind of quoting, and I just get a vibe from it that it's going to be a little bit more intense. So I'm going to read this at some point and then let you guys know, and I'll probably do like a video about books on feminism that I think are good and worth reading, but I don't think this is an intro level feminism book, and that's good because that's what I'm looking for. It's very hard to talk about that kind of thing without feeling like you're coming across as like an academic snob, but you must get what I mean. Like, if any of you have, you know, if you've studied like literature really intensely and then you were to try and read like a biography of like Austen, you might be like, come on guys, I know this. Or like if you were really into art history and you studied that at university and then you picked up a book about like the pre-Raphaelites, you might be like, oh yes, I know, Rossetti. So it's just kind of like, it's trying to keep up with that stuff without feeling bored, I guess. Anyway, massive segue there, but the final book that I have that I bought for my birthday is a absolute honker of a book. This thing is freaking huge. This is a doorstop and a half. It is Rumo by Walter Moers, book 2 in his Zamonia series. I'm so excited that I finally have my hands on something like this. I absolutely adore the 13.5 Lives of Captain Blueberry novel, which is his first one in this series, and this is book 2, but it's one of those series where it's set in the same world but the characters don't repeat. You don't have to have read book 1. I am so keen to get to it. I might use this as the prompt R in the magical readathon for Defense Against Dark Arts. If you don't know what I'm on about, I'll link the readathon video down below. But do I want to take on a book that is literally like just shy of 700 pages for a readathon where I'm trying to get as many subjects as one? I don't know, but I'm keen and I love these. Like, look how many illustrations there are. He does such fun stuff with font. It's just madness and wacky and fantastical, and if you like Terry Pratchett or Tom Holt or any of those real like absurdist worlds, you need to read Walter Moers. He's a babe. Okay, that's it from me. Whoop, nearly fell over. A fairly quick birthday book haul for you there. I'll have another book haul come out in a couple of months' time. I'm trying to slow down a bit on my book buying. Most of these did not count towards my credits system that I mentioned in my reading goals video at the way back at the beginning of the year, because they were gifts. And that's how we get around that. But it does mean that I probably haven't actually made anywhere near as much of a dent into my TBR as I wanted to, because I've now just been gifted a bunch of books. But that's fine, that's fine. Do you see anyone here that you know? These are fairly disparate and from all over the place. A lot of non-fiction, a lot of quirky stuff. But do let me know down below if any of them look interesting or exciting to you, which ones you think I should start with, if you've had similar problems when it comes to studying and then trying to keep up with topics outside of like a formal education format. And I will chat to you soon. Have a wonderful reading week. Bye guys.